Ladies and gentlemen, let's get brutally honest for a second. The hardest truths are the ones we often already know deep down. We just don't want to accept them. We hold on, we overthink, we justify. We wait for that one text back, that tiny effort, that sign he still cares. But what if I told you that silence is the answer? That inconsistency is clarity, that the very things you're brushing off are actually screaming the truth. This isn't about blame, it's about awakening, because when a man isn't interested, he doesn't ghost you. He doesn't ghost you. He shows you in subtle ways. In the gaps between his words and his actions, in the lack of pursuit, in the lukewarm energy you keep making excuses for. And if you don't start recognizing it, you'll stay stuck chasing breadcrumbs, hoping they turn into a feast. They won't. They won't. You deserve a love that chooses you without hesitation, without mixed signals, and without the need for constant decoding. If he's not interested, he will do these 7 things, and it's time you stop ignoring them. Not to shame him, but to free yourself. So let's call it out. Let's rip the blindfold off. Because clarity is power, and you're ready now. When a man is not interested, he doesn't need to come out and say it. His actions will scream it before his lips ever do. And the truth is, we often don't want to hear what those actions are saying. We're too busy trying to find a deeper meaning, rationalizing the behavior, or assuming he's just busy or emotionally unavailable in a way that somehow makes him more intriguing. But disinterest doesn't need poetry. It's simple, it's clear, and it's in the patterns that keep repeating themselves. You'll notice it in how he communicates or doesn't. You initiate the conversation more often than not. You find yourself staring at your phone, hoping for a reply that comes hours later or not at all. You convince yourself he's just not good with texting or has a lot going on. But we both know that when someone genuinely wants to talk to you, they find a way. They make space. They don't leave you hanging in a constant state of uncertainty. And even if he does respond, it feels cold, flat, transactional. Like you're just another item on his to-do list, not someone he's genuinely excited to connect with. His energy doesn't pull you closer. You go on a date and feel a spark, but then he disappears for a week, only to come back with some half-hearted charm that keeps you guessing. That's not emotional depth, that's a pattern of disinterest. Because a man who is genuinely invested will not make you question his intentions every other day. Often, he'll bring consistency, not chaos. He'll show up, not vanish. The excuses start piling up too. He's tired, he's not ready for something serious, he's focusing on his career. And somehow, you keep adjusting your standards to meet him where he's comfortable, even if that place leaves you starving for attention, effort, and reciprocity. You lower your expectations, hoping that if you just hold on a little longer, he'll finally wake up and see what he has in front of him. But that's not how love works. Love doesn't need convincing. It doesn't grow in the soil of avoidance and indifference. You might catch yourself doing more just to feel something. Reaching out first, planning all the meetups, being overly accommodating. That imbalance should be your first clue. Because interest breeds effort. It breeds curiosity, presence, consistency. When you're important to someone, they don't need reminders. They don't forget to check in. They don't disappear in silence, only to reappear when it's convenient. And when they do show up inconsistently, it's not because they're confused, it's because they're not committed, and there's a massive difference between being unsure and being uninterested. And most of the time, we mistake the latter for the former just to protect our own hearts from truth. If you're constantly decoding his behavior, trying to measure his interest based on what he did or didn't do that day, that's the clearest sign of all. Love doesn't need translating, and neither does disinterest. It's right in front of you, in the form of the bare minimum, the vague intentions, and the energy that never matches the words. We've all heard the phrase, "a mixed signals," and we've all tried to decode them like some ancient emotional language. One day, he texts you all day long. The next day, silence. One week, he seems all in, making plans and showing interest. The following week, he withdraws, acts distant, says he's overwhelmed. And yet, we stay, we analyse. We hang on to the good days like they're proof he cares, and we ignore the bad days like they're just exceptions. But what if I told you that those mixed signals are the signal? That the confusion you feel isn't some riddle to solve, but the answer itself? A man who is interested doesn't confuse you. He makes his feelings known through clarity, through consistency. through effort. Mixed signals aren't romantic. They're exhausting. They leave you anxious, overthinking every message, every interaction. You become a detective instead of a partner, trying to gather clues that confirm whether he's truly invested. You start looking for patterns in behavior that shouldn't need decoding in the first place. Because love, when it's real, doesn't play hide and seek with your heart. Let's be honest, confusion is a form of communication. If you don't know where you stand, it's often because he doesn't want you to know. Why? Because ambiguity serves him. It keeps you engaged just enough to feed his ego, but distant enough to avoid true accountability. He gets the validation of your presence without the responsibility of commitment, and you're stuck in limbo, hoping things will change when the reality is, this is what it is. It's not a phase, it's not temporary confusion, it's a choice, and he's making it every time he leaves you guessing. That inconsistency can feel intoxicating. It creates an emotional high that becomes addictive. When he pulls away, you panic. When he comes back, you feel euphoric. That cycle releases chemicals in your brain, dopamine, adrenaline, and it tricks you into thinking it's passion, but it's not. Okay? It's emotional whiplash, it's anxiety in disguise, and somewhere along the way, your nervous system starts confusing chaos for chemistry. You start equating unpredictability with intensity, but deep love doesn't spike your anxiety, it soothes it. Mixed signals also keep you stuck in a cycle of self-blame. You begin to think, maybe I said something wrong, or maybe I'm asking for too much. You shrink, you silence yourself to keep the peace. You walk on eggshells, try not to scare him off, forgetting that the right person won't be scared off by your clarity. You deserve to express your needs without feeling needy. You deserve to speak your heart without fearing abandonment. But the longer you accept mixed signals, the more you teach yourself to tolerate inconsistency as if it's the cost of connection. It's not that complicated. If he likes you, you'll know. If he doesn't, you'll be confused. And that confusion, that's not a void to fill with hopeful thoughts. It's the truth knocking at your door, because the man who wants you won't send smoke signals and expect you to interpret the flames. He will be direct. He will be deliberate. He will be deliberate. He will show up without needing a reminder. And you'll never have to question his intentions because his energy will be aligned with his words. So many women stay in the loop of mixed signals because they're afraid of letting go, afraid that this is the best they'll get, that if they walk away now, they'll lose something meaningful. But the only thing they're losing is the illusion of potential. Potential doesn't build relationships, effort does. And no amount of mixed signals can create something real if it's built on inconsistency. You can't fix unclear intentions with more patience. You can't turn lukewarm energy into a fire by burning yourself out trying to make it work. When you start to understand that mixed signals are actually red flags, your whole perspective changes. You stop trying to decode and start observing. You stop hoping for change and start making decisions. You realize that peace is louder than passion and that real love doesn't make you chase, it invites you in. Mixed signals are not love language, they're emotional manipulation, sometimes intentional, sometimes subconscious, but damaging either way. You don't need someone to act like they're kind of into you. You don't need to hold on to someone who's only holding on to you when it's convenient. You don't need to guess where you stand in someone's life. Your time, your energy, and your heart are far too valuable for that. And the sooner you stop chasing clarity from someone who thrives in confusion, the sooner you'll make space for someone who knows how to love you out loud, not just when it suits them. You deserve a love that is secure, steady, and emotionally mature. Not a love that feels like a puzzle you can never solve. Mixed signals are not a mystery to figure out. They are a clear message. He's not ready, he's not sure, or he's not invested. And none of those deserve your commitment. Let the confusion go, and clarity will rise. You just have to be brave enough to stop settling for half-truths dressed in sweet words and start demanding actions that match them. Chasing love is one of the most exhausting things a woman can do, not because love itself is tiring, but because trying to force it from someone who's not showing up for you is a marathon that never ends. You keep running, hoping he'll finally meet you halfway. You keep proving, explaining, giving more than you should, just to feel like maybe you're enough. But let's get real. If love needs to be chased, it's not grounded in mutual desire, it's grounded in imbalance. And love built on imbalance eventually collapses. You are not meant to be the only one carrying the emotional weight. Real love doesn't make you feel like you're in a constant audition, trying to win someone over who hasn't even decided if they want to show up for the role. When a man is truly interested, you don't have to chase him because he's already walking toward you. You're not pulling him, you're meeting in the middle. The energy is reciprocal. The effort is mutual. The communication is open. And most importantly, you're not left guessing. But when you chase, you abandon yourself. Slowly, you start ignoring your needs. You suppress your feelings. You tell yourself to be a less emotional, a less needy, a less intense, because you fear that if you express your truth, it might scare him away. And in doing that, you're not attracting love. You're molding yourself into someone you're not, just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. That is not love. That's self-betrayal disguised as connection. Chasing also becomes a form of validation seeking. You start thinking, if I can just get him to see my worth, then I'll feel worthy. But no external person can give you the validation that must first come from within. A man who doesn't see your value is not your assignment to fix. He's your signal to move on. You were never meant to be in the business of convincing someone to choose you. You're not a pitch. You're a person. You are not here to hustle for love. You are here to receive it, freely, deeply, and without conditions. What makes it even harder is that sometimes the breadcrumbs feel like a feast. He gives you just enough attention to keep your hope alive, but never enough consistency to build something real. And if someone is constantly bringing chaos into your emotional world, you don't need more patience. You need more boundaries. You deserve to be with someone who makes you feel safe, not someone who keeps you in suspense. Real love doesn't leave you hanging. It doesn't disappear without explanation. It doesn't go silent when you need reassurance. Real love is stable, it's intentional, it's clear. You have to stop accepting less just because you feel deeply. Your love is not meant to be poured into someone who can't even text you back on time. Your time, your heart, and your energy are not disposable. If he can't be consistent, he doesn't deserve access to your consistency. Stop showing up fully for someone who's only giving you fragments. Stop explaining to yourself why his behavior makes sense when deep down you know it doesn't. Stop thinking you're asking for too much when all you want is someone who keeps their word. When a man is not interested, inconsistency becomes his pattern, and patterns speak louder than promises. Watch the pattern. Don't listen to the excuses. Because no matter how charming, funny, or attractive he is, if his actions leave you feeling confused, unworthy, or invisible, then he's not for you. You don't need to decode him. You need to decide for you, because you deserve clarity. You deserve peace. You deserve love that shows up every day, not just when it's convenient.